Hey everyone, things are strange in Japan, I have to say, and they're escalating. Over 1,025 earthquakes already since June 21st. I have reported about this. A massive earthquake swarm near the Tokara Islands. That's an island chain, but that's not all. It's like everyone is in panic right now because of that manga prediction that says something big is happening July 5th. And people are taking it serious. The tourism industry has basically collapsed in Japan. Flights have been canceled because there was no demand. So people are freaking out because now things are getting more escalated towards July 5th. So this is kind of crazy. So just yesterday, southern Japan has been rocked by 5 earthquakes over magnitude 5 in one day. And it has continued like that today. So a relentless earthquake swarm near the Tokara Islands has passed probably by now, as we're speaking, over 1,030 earthquakes, the strongest so far, magnitude 5.5, and it was near the Toshima village. And now the authorities, and that's why people are now freaking out even more. The Japanese authorities, guys, have now issued a national disaster plan, expanding evacuation zones and warning over 700 towns to prepare for a possible magnitude 9 megathrust earthquake / rupture in the Nankai Trough. We're talking about the Pacific Ring of Fire here. So that's why panic is rising also across social media. It's like everywhere where people are posting this. And what is this about, guys? Let's dissect this and let's really have a close look at what's going on. Things are going crazy, and at the end of the video, guys, I will show you my arms because this arm is damaged badly by someone, and this one is damaged badly by something that is living, and this was living and this was living. My arms look terrible. Guys, this happens at the end of the video, but now let's get back to Japan. So ahead of July 5th, this predicted doomsday, and I'll show you this post, for example, on social media, where someone posts saying, this is the cover of the book. It's like a comic book. This is fascinating. The book is called The Future I Saw by Ryo Tatsuki. She made her dreams into manga comics. And little did she know that some of her dreams were like a prophecy. They happened. And the date to watch now is July 5th, 2025, a Japan earthquakes. So much so flights in Japan have been reduced dramatically in and around this date. So this is the prophecy that everyone's talking about. There's also more prophecies from Thailand and in the US that kind of announce something for this date. But one thing is a fact. The government of Japan begins evacuations from an island that is also jolted by these over 1,030 earthquakes. It belongs to that island chain. So that is the latest development, that Japanese authorities have urged 89 residents of a small southern island to evacuate after another strong earthquake was hitting this area because it doesn't stop. So residents were urged to evacuate to a school playground on the Akuseki Island. That's what the officials, a municipal official has told the press. And Akuseki Island is part of the Tokara Island chain south of the Kyushu region. But that's not all, guys. There's report that the Japanese volcanoes are exhibiting signs of waking up. Many volcanoes are throwing out steam. So of course, it's the Pacific Ring of Fire, guys. That ring of fire of subduction zones where we have most of the world's large, devastating earthquakes and volcanoes. Along that horseshoe ring of fire, we have like ... all these volcanoes. And Japan has a lot of volcanoes. So this comes in addition to the threat of a mega earthquake. Yes, it's technically possible through all that shaking that maybe an already rising magma might find more brittle rocks and might have a better way to rise to the surface. So far, no major damage has been reported by all these quakes, but people are scared. Akuseki has been struck by a 5.5 magnitude earthquake just a few hours ago. That has been reported. It's official. The director of the Japanese Earthquake and Tsunami Observation Division from the Japanese Meteorological Agency has confirmed that. And that prediction that was published in 1999 basically was fading away. Nobody was really listening to that anymore until the 2011 Tohoku earthquake happened. After that tragedy, readers spotted the chilling words that were written in that book. Major disaster in March 2011. And that's when that disaster happened. The Megathrust earthquake and the tsunami. So that's when people started to pay attention to this book. And it basically, Tatsuki was, because of that detail, turned into a cult figure overnight. And now her updated edition warns of another disaster, and she says this time bigger than 2011. So whether you believe what she's saying or not, I think we should listen to what she's saying right now, because so many people are reacting to what she's predicting. Even airlines canceling flights. So this is part of what's happening there right now. And of course, I think this is even increasing the fear amongst the local population that is affected. So she claims in her 2021 update, she describes a terrifying chain of events. She says the ocean floor between Japan and the Philippines will crack open. Massive waves would surge in all directions. A tsunami 3 times higher than the 2011 disaster could hit Japan's southwest coast. So her prophecy has spread far and wide. And the tourists across East Asia are unsettled and they're staying away. They have held off coming to Japan due to these unfounded fears fanned by social media that a major quake is imminent. But now things are changing because now the officials are warning that this could be imminent. Of course, through all that time, the seismologists have consistently stated that pinpointing the exact timing of an earthquake remains nearly impossible. We know, as I said, Japan is sitting on the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's one of the world's most seismic active countries, sitting on top of four, no, I said 3, I have to bend my fingers, 4 major tectonic plates along the western edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire. So the archipelago is home to around 125 million people. So if something happens there, it has big impacts, despite the fact that the Japanese are probably the best prepared people in the world when it comes to earthquakes. And typically Japan experiences 1,500 earthquakes, rattling them every year. And that accounts for about 18% of the world's earthquakes. So they have 1,500 per year. They almost have that in a month right now. That's why we need to look at what's going on here and what could happen. We know that in 2011, a magnitude 9 earthquake and a tsunami has led to the loss of 18,500 people and has caused a devastating meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear plant. But quakes like this are extremely hard to predict. But in just January this year, the Japanese government panel marginally increased the probability of a major earthquake in the Nankai Trough in Japan in the next 30 years to 75 to 82%. And again, don't think it's 30 years away. Within the next 30 years, that could be tomorrow. And 82% is quite high. That's really high. And then they have released a new estimate in March saying that such a mega quake and a subsequent tsunami could cause as many as 300,000 people lost and damages of up to $2 trillion. But this week, the government released a report saying much more is needed to be done to prepare for such a mega quake. They say we're not prepared yet. And now, today, they're telling 500 towns and villages to prepare for this mega quake. And evacuations have started. That's why the panic level is so high. The islanders are sleepless right now, the Japanese people. I mean, 1,030 something earthquakes in 2 weeks, basically. This is crazy. The good thing is that string of islands that we're dealing with here is sparsely populated, but residents have become increasingly weary. They say we're afraid to go to sleep. So since June 21, the Tokara Islands have experienced this ongoing massive earthquake swarm. They're fearful of what might happen. And the Japan Meteorological Agency says it loud and clear. We have no idea when this will stop or what this will lead to. But what scientists are saying, well, if we see a number of earthquakes, let's say magnitude 4, that usually leads to a certain number of magnitude 5. And if we have quite a few magnitude 5, it increases the possibility for 6 and something like this. In 2011, there was also a precursor earthquake swarm. That's the problem. And what we're seeing right now is very, very unusual. They just had an emergency news conference yesterday about this. And they said that residents should prepare to take shelter or evacuate, given the possibility that the area could be hit by even stronger quakes. Now we have 89 residents evacuated already. What is also unusual is not only the frequency of these earthquakes, but also the duration of these earthquakes. And the lack of infrastructure and hospitals on some of these islands means medical help in case of an emergency is a 6-hour-long ferry ride away. And the residents say it feels like it's continuously shaking. It's always shaking. It doesn't stop. It's very scary to even fall asleep if you can. And we've had that in Santorini in February, and we've had it in Campi Flegrei. But this seems to be even stronger. And now even the media are being told to stay away from the residents, to not even ask them for comment anymore, because they're exhausted and they're so worried and they just can't deal with it anymore. So they have released a statement saying, we ask that you be considerate and not make excessive inquiries or interviews, adding that some guest houses are no longer taking tourists because they may be used to shelter locals during potential evacuations. This tells you something. What is the Nankai Trough megaquake and why would it be so devastating for Japan? We just had that Japan has approved a new comprehensive disaster preparedness strategy aimed at mitigating the catastrophic impact of this anticipated Nankai Trough megaquake. This is a long overdue initiative, and it comes in response to the scientific consensus that a powerful earthquake, possibly followed by massive tsunamis, is likely to strike along the Nankai Megathrust subduction zone of Japan's Pacific coast within the coming decades. But the problem is, in order to implement that new plan, they probably need 10 years. So if something happens now, a bit too late, I would say. You heard the government's prediction, what the damages would be if that happened right now. So over the next 10 years, they're trying to update the 2014 disaster guidelines, and they're setting ambitious targets to reduce the people that will be lost by 80% and the damage by 50%. But over the next 10 years, that doesn't help us now. So The Nankai Trough is a deep oceanic trench. It's located off the southern coast of Japan, stretching from Suruga Bay to the Kyushu region, and it marks the boundary where the Philippine Sea Plate subducts beneath the Amurian Plate. And that's why it's such a highly active seismic zone. And the earthquakes that are resulting from this subduction zone are known as the Nankai Megathrust earthquakes, and they are among the most powerful and damaging in Japanese history. And historically, and that's the interesting part, guys, the Nankai Trough has produced pairs of massive earthquakes roughly every 90 to 200 years. So the key events that we have confirmed in this Nankai Trough is 1707, the Hawaii earthquake, 1854, the Anzai Tokai earthquakes. There were two. They only occurred one day apart. 1944, the Tonakai earthquake, and then 2 years later, in pairs, the 1946 Nankaido earthquake. I've made a video in the past, maybe you have seen it, that they come in pairs, which is even more frightening. Because you think, oh gosh, I've just survived the one megathrust earthquake, and then there could be a second one. So if we look at this pattern, at this cyclical pattern, the scientists believe that Japan is now in the window for another major event. And the densely populated Pacific coast of Japan is like home to cities like Osaka, Nagoya, Shizuoka, makes the potential for human and economic toll especially alarming. And then in addition to all that, explosive eruption at the Shinmoidake volcano blankets parts of Miyazaki and Kagoshima with ash. It had a strong explosive eruption today. That volcano is part of the Kirishima volcanic complex on Kyushu Island. Has sent an ash plume as high as 22,000 feet, 6.7 kilometers above the sea level up in the air. So the Japanese Meteorological Agency has raised the volcanic alert to level 3 because the unrest has already started on June 27th. So local residents are urged to stay indoors, wear protective masks, cover water sources and their vehicles to protect them from the ash particles. So the officials expect more strong earthquakes like the one today, the magnitude 5.5. The epicenter was off the coast of the Tokara island chain in the Kagoshima prefecture with the volcanoes. It's roughly 1,000 miles away from Tokyo. And although the earthquake was strong, they didn't issue a tsunami warning this time. But the Japanese Meteorological Agency said in areas where the tremors were strong, there is an increased risk that houses might collapse or that landslides might happen. Please be aware of earthquakes of similar magnitude for the foreseeable future. We had something similar in September 2023, but not as large as this one. There was a similar period of intense seismic activity in the Tokara area, but only 346 earthquakes. This one, that is a different league. So we have to wait and see, guys, while July 5th is approaching. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you believe in such predictions? Let me know, let's discuss this. Yeah, and here as promised, I show you this arm. Look how this looks. This happened when I was sleeping. Eddie was lying next to me and Woody was at my feet. And in the middle of the night, Eddie starts growling at Woody in a way, and then Woody wakes up and looks at Eddie. And they didn't have their beef for quite a while. It was really peaceful the last weeks. But I knew when they're staring at each other like this, it's going to happen very, very soon. And as I was just waking up, I was sleeping, I was putting my arm in between them. I wanted to hold Eddie back, but they were already at each other and some of them got my arm while it was in the way. So that's why it looks like this. At least the blood didn't splatter this time. So it wasn't that bad. And then I wanted to do some barbecue. So I wanted to move my barbecue grill a little bit, and the lid was closed, but yeah, it seems there was a wasp nest inside. So while I was holding it, it's now a little bit better. It's hard to see. It did sting me into my finger, and it was swollen like this, and here this was swollen until here, my whole arm, and it was so painful. I took some Benadryl right away, and I'm getting bitten by these wasps every year. Sometimes I had like 11 biting me at once when I was building fences, and I was stepping on a nest. I was trying to run away, then I fell and they were stinging me in the butt. It was horrible. Then I had one, there were 6 to 7 in my face. And now that I couldn't live somewhere where there's a lot of biting bugs and stuff like this. I seem to be somewhat allergic to bites because I'm swelling up. It's getting very hot and it's very, very painful. This one I thought should not be so bad because it's in the finger, but it got really, really bad. So that was that, guys. If you like what you saw, leave it a like. Links in the description of the videos if you want to support the channel. I hope to see you safe and sound, guys. Check out the videos in the end screen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.